counterfeits, clones, rip-offs, knockoffs, whatever you want to call them. I'm frankly sick of them at this point. I don't want to do it anymore. I still have a few knives here that I'm going to show you for this video because I agreed to make a video about them, but I've really, well, made up my mind on the matter, basically. You've seen me in previous knife reviews kind of dance around the issue and kind of be like, yeah, I don't really like counterfeits, but... And please don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to play high and mighty here and claim moral superiority or anything like that. And I very much understand why people buy these. You know, there are certain knives, you know, Benchmade and Spyderco and Zero Tolerance and all of that, that are not affordable for people, especially nowadays when the economy is suffering pretty much everywhere and the budget is tight. And these are good alternatives, especially since they are much better made nowadays than the cheap knockoffs used to be. But I don't want to do it anymore myself because, you know, obviously a lot of people watch these videos and I do have a certain influence and I'm essentially supporting that kind of thing, you know, ripping off someone else's design and slapping their own name on it, or, you know, counterfeiting the logo of that company, whatever it may be. I don't like it. Again, I'm going to show you these ones here because, as said, I have agreed to that and I'm going to stick to it. But yeah, that's what I mean. It is nice to get these from Gearbest because that means I have knives to review without having to pay for them, and I do get a small percentage in commission for the sale, so that helps the channel, no doubt about it. But I just, you know, just from an ethical standpoint, I'm not really okay with it anymore. All right, so here's the Ganzo Firebird F759M, and at first when I saw this, I thought, oh, this is inspired by Spyderco because it's got the typical, you know, what's called a Spidey hole. And, you know, the overall design looks very similar to the Bird series. And now that I got it and I'm taking a closer look, I'm saying, no, it's a blatant ripoff. Like, it's a direct copy of the Meadowlark. You know, same measurements, same shape, same everything. Well, I mean, okay, the hole is a little bit different. You know, the actual Bird knives by Spyderco have this, you know, more... well, bird beak looking hole, and very, very minor differences, not a whole lot. For comparison, it's the only bird knife we have right now, so this is the Cara, and it's a larger one, obviously, and partially serrated, but you can see just how similar they are. The shape right here, the serrated finger choil, that's the same. You know, the grind here is the same. Well, technically not quite, because on the Cara it's a chisel grind, whereas this here is a regular flat grind. But the outline of the frame, you know, everything is the same. The pocket clip is a little bit different, but even the shape right here of the lockback is very similar. There's a minor difference. This one here is round, whereas this here has straight lines, but I mean, it's a very obvious copy. It's a shame because the knife itself is pretty well made, you know, surprisingly so. You know, it's, well, it's 440C, at least that's what they're saying, and as a few people have pointed out on some of the review videos, you never know. They could claim just about anything, and it could be something else. It's true. You don't know for sure. But if it is 440C, then that's quite a decent steel, especially if it's properly heat-treated. And the handle material is the same. It says glass fiber handle here, and this is FRN, fiberglass reinforced nylon. And they also feel the same, so this is the same kind of handle material. The good thing is, as I said, the quality is actually pretty good. I mean, there was a time, you know, 10 years ago, or maybe even just 5, where you could very much tell that something was a Chinese knockoff, because the materials would be far worse, the design wouldn't be properly executed and all of that. In this case, it is actually really well done. The way the lock operates, the blade centering is really good, and it even, like, the pivot even feels very similar. When I handle them side by side and when I push the lock back, it drops freely, and it really feels the same when closing them. So subjectively, there is no real difference here, I have to say. Now, in a torture test, I would definitely bet on this rather than that, but who knows, maybe that would surprise me. Sharpness also, no complaints here. I'm just gonna show you quickly. Yeah, it is very sharp. Whether it will retain the edge for as long as a Spyderco, I doubt it, but who knows. But here's the thing, the Ganzo costs currently $13.29. If it's on sale, it might go as low as 10 or less. The Meadowlark, the actual Spyderco Meadowlark, is 20. You know, again, if you find it on sale, it might be less. So on the one hand, you can say, well, this costs a bit more than half of that. But on the other hand, 10 or 20, is it really that much of a difference? Does it really make sense to go for the counterfeit in that case? Personally, I don't think so. Here's another Ganzo I have right now. This is the G739. And this one here also comes in a bag. And this one, when I saw it, I thought, okay, this looks like their own design. I don't think this is a counterfeit. Well, I was wrong. I thought that the Benchmade access lock was not exclusive to them. I thought that, you know, this was a general design that was not trademarked by them, but it is. I thought that it was available under other names, but I've never seen it as such. It's always called an access lock. And in fact, Ganzo themselves also called it an access lock. And even though the patent, Benchmade's patent on the access lock apparently expired in 2016, this is still their design. And as far as I've seen, nobody else, at least no US manufacturers make this kind of a lock and call it an access lock and call it their own. Also, essentially, this is a Griptilian, Benchmade Griptilian. If you compare the two, this looks almost exactly like that. Some subtle differences here and there, but clearly not enough to let this slip as just, oh, it's inspired by it. No, definitely isn't. And as I said, the access lock is Benchmade, and again, bummer, because this is also a pretty well-made knife. This one also comes nice and sharp, and it's a good blade shape. I mean, obviously the design, as said, is not theirs, it's Benchmade's, and it operates pretty well. Now, I've never handled an actual Benchmade Griptilian myself, so I don't know how this one compares, but you know, when you hold down the lock, you can flick it out like that, and it seems reasonably smooth opening. You know, I've had other knives with a similar lock that are a little smoother, but you know, it's still pretty good. Again, blade centering is good. Overall, nothing wrong with it in terms of quality. This one is also supposed to be 440C and G10. Feels good. You know, everything I say about this design is not a credit to Ganzo, obviously. I like the knife. I just don't like the fact that it is a counterfeit. And I know that a lot of you who watch these other knife reviews actually argued against that, you know, against having a problem with counterfeits. And yeah, you make valid points, and I very much understand that, as said, this is a good option for somebody who cannot afford the real deal. Fair, and I'm not judging anybody who buys counterfeits, not at all. But for me personally, to support something like this, I'm just not comfortable with it. And by the way, I stumbled upon a discussion on a forum where apparently somebody in a knife forum claimed that they talked to someone at Benchmade, I think even the CEO, and supposedly they said they're okay with Ganzo ripping off the access lock, but somebody else contacted them as well and posted the email, a copy of the email, and no, they are not okay with that. In fact, they explicitly say that they do not condone that infringement on their copyright or trademark or whatever. Of course not. I mean, why would they be okay with that? There's this one here. Again, I thought this one is Ganzo's own design, but once again, it's not. It's the Benchmade Bedlam, as I found out. So once again, same issue, and I can also say the same things about this one. You know, this is in fact even smoother than the other one, and is really well made. That's the weird thing about it. I know the axis lock works well. Obviously, it has proven itself, and it's a pretty strong lock. Basically, in order for this to fail, this part of the frame would have to break, which is not that likely. It's pretty strong, you know, unless you go completely crazy with it and abuse it in absurd ways. This is a very strong lock, and it should hold up very well. This one as well, no complaints about the edge. Yeah, good job, and as far as getting the materials right and making something that feels probably like the original. I say probably because I haven't handled the Bedlam, but yeah, I've talked enough about it. You get the point. So if you absolutely cannot afford the originals, and in case of Benchmade, I can understand that. This one, the Ganzo F712, is currently on 20% sale for $20. And I think it was even 20 Canadian. Whereas the original is available for 195 US dollars. So that's pretty much 10% of the price. So in this case, I can totally understand if you cannot spend almost $200 on a knife, but you really, really like this design, you want to get your hands on it, or maybe you just want to try it out and then, you know, to determine whether it's worth saving up for. Surprisingly good quality for the price. As said, now I'm going to link the stuff on Gearbest, so the counterfeit knives, and also the originals on Amazon. So you can decide if you like the design. Personally, I like all of these. You know, I do have to say these are all nice designs. This one here, I personally like more than that because of the shape. You know, for one, it looks very interesting, and also this feels great in the hand. You know, the way this is curved, and especially also the way it's curved towards the end, that just, you know, locks into a saber grip really nicely. The jimping here also comes in handy. So this feels great. It looks great, and it performs quite well. I totally like it. Would I spend the 195 or whatever for a genuine Benchmade? No, I wouldn't, because I can't prioritize knives that much personally. I have plenty of expenses and have to stick to the somewhat more affordable knives. So yeah, as said, links will be down below. I'm going to continue reviewing stuff from Gearbest because so far I've had positive experiences with them, but I'm going to try to make sure that I do not end up getting counterfeits again. I want to see original designs. And despite this being possibly the most awkward knife review I've done so far, I hope you still enjoyed it and found it interesting. And thanks for watching. Have a good one, folks.